Have you ever wondered why your life feels stuck, even when you pray, fast, and do everything right? You ask God for help, but the heavens stay silent. You feel like something unseen is resisting you, something spiritual that you can't name but can feel pressing against your soul. Many believers think all problems are physical, but the Bible reveals that some struggles are deeply spiritual, hidden beneath what eyes can see. The book of Daniel tells us about this. When Daniel prayed, God heard him immediately. But an angel said in Daniel 10 verse 13, "But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me." The answer was released, but spiritual resistance delayed it. Some of what you call delay isn't denial, it's warfare in the unseen realm. So many believers stop at praying once or twice, not realizing they are in a battle that requires persistence and spiritual sensitivity. You ask, but when you do not receive, do you move to the next level of seeking? Seeking is not begging, it's searching for the divine key that unlocks your breakthrough. Matthew 7 verse 7 says, "Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you." The silence of God often invites you to seek, not just to sit. When you seek, you begin to discover what's blocking your prayers. Unforgiveness, disobedience, fear, or generational patterns that resist your destiny. God's silence is not rejection, it's revelation waiting to happen. But here's the chilling truth sometimes. Your problem is not from outside forces, but from inside patterns. A spirit of rebellion that once ruled your bloodline may still speak in your decisions. You want change, but something in you resists obedience. Romans 7 verse 19 captures this perfectly. "For the good that I would I do not, but the evil which I would not that I do." There is a war within, and until you address it spiritually, physical efforts will always fall short. You can't fight spiritual battles with natural tools. The moment you realize that, your life shifts into alignment with heaven. Romans 7 verse 19 captures this perfectly. "For the good that I would I do not, but the evil which I would not that I do." There is a war within, and until you address it spiritually, physical efforts will always fall short. You can't fight spiritual battles with natural tools. The moment you realize that, your life shifts into alignment with heaven. Let's go deeper. There are problems that money, talent, or human wisdom cannot fix. You can go from therapist to pastor, from fasting to giving, and still feel bound. Why? Because the root is spiritual. The Bible says in Ephesians 6 verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Your true battle isn't your boss, your partner, or your past. It's the invisible resistance behind them. When the enemy sees potential, he plants obstacles in the unseen realm to make you give up before the manifestation. But the good news is this: God never exposes a problem without preparing power to overcome it. When you begin to seek, not just ask, you tap into revelation, divine insight that shows you what needs to change. Maybe God is saying, "Forgive." Maybe He's saying, "Obey the last instruction I gave you." Or maybe He's revealing an ancestral covenant that must be broken. Hosea 4 verse 6 says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Spiritual ignorance keeps many Christians in cycles of delay and disappointment, because they never move from asking to understanding. Have you noticed that some problems repeat every few years? That's not random. It's a cycle designed to keep you from advancing. When you start seeing patterns of pain, it's a sign that something spiritual needs to be addressed. Prayer without revelation is like shooting arrows in the dark. But when you begin to ask God not only why, but what must I do, you step into prophetic clarity. This is what separates those who stagnate from those who break through. Remember 2 Corinthians 10 verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, to the pulling down of strongholds. The moment you understand that, you begin to fight differently through obedience, worship, fasting, and faith. Now here's where many stop too early. They pray, feel no answer, and assume God isn't listening. But what if the silence is part of His strategy to awaken your discernment? When you no longer hear His voice, He's inviting you to seek His face. Job went through this. In Job 23 verse 8 he said, Behold, I go forward, but He is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive Him. Yet by verse 10 he declared, But He knoweth the way that I take. When He hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. God's silence was not His absence, it was preparation for transformation. Sometimes God allows the problem to persist because it's the only language your spirit understands deeply enough to change. The storm forces you to kneel, and kneeling repositions you in power. You begin to realize that not all pain is punishment. Some of it is purification. The fire that hurts you today is refining you for the calling of tomorrow. When you ask and do not get answers, don't stop there. Move to seeking. Seek the reason. Seek the instruction. Seek the spiritual root. God doesn't hide things from you. He hides them for you, so that when you find them, you are matured enough to handle them. So the next time you face a delay, a heartbreak, or a battle that refuses to end, pause and ask, Lord, what is the spiritual cause of this problem? Then wait for revelation. Because once you see the root, you can uproot it. Once you know the cause, you can destroy its effect. That's when heaven aligns with earth, and what was blocked begins to flow. Remember James 5 verse 16. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. You are not powerless, you are being prepared. Seek, and you will find, because the silence of God is not the end, it's the beginning of revelation.